Hey, what is up guys? I'm Kyle at Fortune. Today I'm showing you guys my new welding setup. So I've definitely built a lot of trucks, and it's kind of hard to believe, but I've actually never owned a welder. This entire time I've been borrowing other people's welders or using their welder at their house. And it's kind of funny because usually people that have welders really don't use them a whole lot. I guess unless you're really into fabricating or, working on trucks a lot, there isn't really a reason to have one. I've skated by this whole time, but I finally saved up the money to get one. And now this is a completely entry-level welder setup. It's really a budget option. I'm sure this welder I got is nicer than some. I talked with a ton of people that have really nice Millers and Hobarts and the super big Lincoln and all that. After talking with all of them and looking back on all of the trucks that I've built, I decided that same welder that everybody seems to have is the one that's going to work for me. So what I ended up going with was the Lincoln 140 weld pack. So this one actually just runs off of 110, which is really nice because my dryer in the garage, the shop, actually is only 110 as well. So I'm not going to have to get 220 wired in. I know some of the Harbor Freight welders have some options where they can run 110 or 220. That's really cool too. I wanted to try one of the Harbor Freight welders, but I just couldn't do it. I don't want to mess with the warranty. Maybe after this, if I end up getting another welder, something bigger, I will go with like the Vulcan one, and we'll just see how that goes from there, and I'll at least have this welder as a backup. I definitely think this welder is going to be enough for me. It has a ton of capability. It can do the flux core, it can do the MIG with the gas, and it can also do aluminum if we get the spool gun. So I think for me that's going to work perfectly. And my big dilemma was, is this going to be enough welder or a powerful enough machine to do the jobs that I need? And looking back in the past, it definitely is. We've welded up stuff for a 1-ton YJ. We've had a 80s Blazer that was 1-ton, a 73 1-ton Blazer, the M1008, that 1-ton Suburban. We built the Samurai on this. I just think that this is definitely going to be enough welder for us, and I really hope it works out. To pair with this welder, we picked up a Chicago Electric Harbor Freight welding cart that, just wheel that thing around and make it a little bit easier to get around there, and also to help attach a tank when we do get into some actual MIG welding and not the flux core stuff that I've been doing pretty much this whole time. So let's go through some of the unboxing, check out all the stuff that it comes with, and then we'll put it together and I'll give you guys some of my thoughts at the end. So most importantly, this welder does fit on the Chicago Electric or Harbor Freight welding cart, which is awesome. I was kind of wondering if maybe it would be too wide to actually fit on there, because if you look at the specifications for this welder on their website or Home Depot's website, wherever you look, it lists it as being quite a bit wider than this and just bigger all around in the dimensions. And I think what they're meaning by that is the size of the box for shipping, but it does fit. So this brand, the Lincoln Weld Pack, has been around for a really long time, and there have been various models, and they've made a lot of little changes that have really improved these things. One of the most notable things is something that I saw a lot of people complaining about when they had the early versions of this welder, and that's you can't get this door open if you have a lip on your cart or your table or whatever it is. But now, as you can see, it actually can open because the lip is a little bit higher on this one. So we've got some really good instructions in here, tons of great pictures, all the tools, really easy to help you set all of that up. But let's take a look at all the other stuff that comes with this. When you get a complicated machine like this, it's really nice to get a manual that's this thick. So I'm guessing this has a lot of troubleshooting stuff in it, and it also has this DVD, or it works on PC and Mac if you still have a disk drive on your stuff. But you know, anything that can help out when you're troubleshooting these, because if you hook these things up backwards or you're new to welding, it can really be a pain in the butt to dial in what you're working on, especially when you have a limited supply of metal. Got our welding gun, and this thing is, it feels like it's pretty good quality too. Got our clamp and our welding cable. Kind of an overlooked thing. Sometimes you get these clamps that they just really aren't the right setup for where they grab onto something. You can see this has like the open end and then this curved part. This clamp works really well for getting on round stuff, or you know, square tube, square metal, all that stuff as well. So far all these parts are just for the flux core welding, but if you're going to do some actual MIG with gas, you can use this regulator that comes with it. Comes with its own gas line, comes with some contact tips and a nozzle for the gun for MIG welding. And then it also comes with 2 spools of wire, which is pretty cool. So, I mean, you can kind of test out either one depending on what your setup's gonna be. This one is the 035. I usually use the 030. That's just what all the welders that I borrowed had in them. So, I don't know. I need to do some reading and find out what the difference is between these 30 versus 35. But it also comes with some of the Super Arc or the L56 if you're going to be doing some MIG wire welding. So pretty cool that it comes with that stuff. All right, so right now we're going to look at the flux core welding setup guide so we can get everything set up to do our welding without gas, because I don't have a tank right now. All right, so number one, we've got the power turned off so we can mess with everything without fear of getting electrocuted. All right, there's a switch right here that is on spool gun or 100L. We got to make sure it's pressed to the 100L because we're not going to be using a spool gun. All right, so we get our work lead and clamp put on. Doesn't look like it matters which side goes where. For flux core, it says that your work cable is supposed to go to the positive stud here. Negative on this side. We just need to make sure this one's tightened down. Loosen up this tensioner. Take the wing nut off of this washer. Gotta be careful when you unravel these because sometimes this wire can just kind of go crazy all of a sudden. Kind of weird. This one's a little bit backwards from the other ones I used because usually the wire is out like this so you can read and then it feeds in the bottom, but this one they want you to put it in going from the top. All right, you can see that little groove in this little polymer washer thing, so it can only go on one way. Put it on so it's snug. Put it back through the hole for now. All right, this drive roll has 2 different size wire that it can fit. It's got 2.5 and then 3.5 on the other. So the directions say that it should be 3.5 facing out. Tighten the knob back on there. All right, so this is always the tricky part. It already looks like it got a little tangled up. There we go. All right, so you can see at the end there's kind of a bend in this one, so you should definitely clip this, but I'm just gonna break it off. It's straight. We're gonna put it into this guide and feed it through. We should see it pop out the front and the drive roller, there it is. And we're gonna feed it, there we go. Put this clamp back down. And there's just enough friction brake on this so this isn't gonna unspool. It's feeding through. We need to unscrew this wing nut on this brass coupler. And now we're gonna put our welding gun cable in there. So I'm looking in through where this brass end goes in there and the wire isn't coming through yet, which is good. I don't want to bend it and get it crooked in there because, you know, that'll just make a huge mess. So we have to clean up later. It's fully inserted. Both the O-rings are in there. Tighten down the wing nut. We've got this little power connector with 2 pins. Looks like it can only go in one way. There it is. To get the wire fed through quicker, we're going to place the speed on 5. Doesn't matter what this is on. All right, we've got the power plugged in. Welding gun and cable nice and straight, no hard turns in it. Got her turned on. first part of this spool is a little bit kind of wound up crisscross, so it's making some weird noises, but everything looks like it's feeding through. Once it gets close to coming through the end of the nozzle here, we should start to feel a little bit of vibration in the handle. And there she is. Try to get the settings on for what I expect to be welding, which is 3/16. So we're using the flux core. We're gonna go down to 3/16. So our settings for 3/5, which is what we got in there, is 3 and D. So the setup of the welder was super easy. Building the welding cart was super easy as well. We also got a Chicago Electric auto darkening welding helmet. It's definitely not the nicest one out there. And I'm thinking, you know what? It might actually be good to have a cheap one like this and later on be able to get a nicer one. That way I can have two and maybe I can teach somebody how to weld, or somebody else can watch me do it and learn. I can have a backup helmet, whatever. But anyways, I'm really excited about having this machine. My garage is slowly getting up to the point where I don't have to borrow a lot of tools, and now I'm starting to have a lot of the things I need. We have some upgrades coming for our press, which is going to be really cool, and I needed a welder to build all of those additions to it. Plus, we've got some big projects coming for the Colorado and definitely the Samurai. You guys have been asking for Samurai videos, so that thing's about to have some huge changes come for it, and we have a huge year of wheeling ahead of us. So now I have the welder. Those projects should be a piece of cake. If you guys are interested in seeing any of these products, just look down in the description below. I'll have some links in there for you guys. Some of them are Amazon associate links. So if you end up getting these same parts and using that link, it'll be awesome for us, because that's more money that comes back to the channel and we can put it into getting more tools for the shop. Guys, thanks for watching. See you next time.